Have you ever walked away from a conversation and thought, I wish I had said that? We all have moments when our mind froze, words stumbled, and the right thought came too late. But what if you could train your brain to think clearly, quickly, and confidently, no matter who's in front of you? This audiobook will teach you how to do exactly that. You'll learn how to speak with calm, clarity, and purpose. You'll understand the psychology behind quick thinking and the secret habits of people who never run out of words. Whether you're in a meeting, on stage, or just having a conversation, this book will help you sound smarter and think faster. So sit back, relax, and let's unlock the genius inside you. And before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more life-changing audiobooks like this one. Chapter 1: The Power of Quick Thinking. Speaking fast isn't the same as thinking fast. Many people confuse the two. They think that talking more means being smarter, but true genius in speaking comes from something deeper: clarity, calm, and the ability to think clearly before your words leave your mouth. That's what separates good speakers from great ones. Every conversation is like a small test. It's a moment where your brain and your mouth must work together. Sometimes the words flow perfectly. Other times you freeze. You replay the moment later in your mind, wishing you had said something better. We all know that feeling. The good news is, it's not because you're not smart enough. It's because your mind and your mouth are not yet in sync. And that's something you can train. Thinking fast before you speak starts with awareness. Most people react, not respond. They hear something, feel emotion, and instantly speak. Their words come from impulse, not intelligence. But when you slow down your reaction, even for a second, your brain starts to think clearly. That 1 second of pause can change everything. It's the gap between saying something forgettable and saying something powerful. The mind works like a muscle. The more you use it consciously, the sharper it gets. But when you rush, your brain doesn't have time to process ideas properly. You lose the balance between emotion and logic. That's why some people speak fast but say little that matters, while others speak calmly and make every word count. The genius lies not in how fast you talk, but in how fast you understand. There's a kind of mental silence that exists before you speak, a small moment where ideas form. People who think fast know how to find that silence. They use it to organize their thoughts, choose their tone, and adjust their message. It's like a dancer hearing the rhythm before moving, or a chess player seeing 3 moves ahead. The secret is learning to pause without panic. Quick thinking doesn't come from magic. It comes from practice. You train your brain by challenging it daily. Read more. Listen deeply. Pay attention to conversations. When you listen well, your mind begins to predict patterns. It starts recognizing what might come next. That anticipation makes your response faster and smarter. People who seem like natural talkers aren't born that way. They've trained their thinking speed through repetition. They've learned to control nerves, manage silence, and trust their thoughts. The truth is, speaking is not about being loud, it's about being prepared. Preparation builds confidence, and confidence gives you mental speed. Imagine 2 people in a conversation. One rushes to fill every silence, afraid of sounding awkward. The other pauses, smiles, and then speaks with calm authority. Who sounds smarter? Always the one who controls the pace. Silence between words is not weakness, it's wisdom. It shows that you're thinking. It gives your words weight. One powerful trick to think faster is to simplify your inner language. Many people overthink because their inner dialogue is messy. They speak in long, confusing thoughts even in their heads. A genius speaker, on the other hand, keeps their internal thinking clear and short. They form small, precise thoughts that are easy to express. The clearer you think inside, the smoother you speak outside. Another key to quick thinking is emotional control. When you're nervous, your brain's logical center slows down. Your fight or flight system takes over, and your thoughts scatter. That's why you can't find the right words during stress. The best speakers train themselves to stay calm under pressure. They breathe, pause, and remind themselves that silence is okay. Once calm, the brain begins to organize again, and the right words follow naturally. The smartest people in the room are often the best listeners. It might sound strange, but fast thinking begins with slow listening. When you really listen, you absorb not just the words, but the tone, the intent, and the rhythm of the conversation. You gather mental notes. By the time it's your turn to speak, your brain already has the material it needs to respond intelligently. Listening gives you time to think without others noticing that you're thinking. There's also another layer, curiosity. People who think fast are naturally curious. They ask why and how more often. Curiosity trains your brain to connect ideas faster. When you're curious, your brain builds mental shortcuts between topics. That's why curious people can draw from many ideas quickly during a conversation. They don't memorize facts, they understand connections. Quick thinking is not about racing, it's about clarity under pressure. When someone challenges you, instead of reacting emotionally, train yourself to pause, breathe, and think. That short pause is your brain's superpower. It allows your thoughts to catch up with your emotions. When you master that moment, you begin to sound calm, confident, and intelligent. The difference between slow and fast thinkers is not intelligence, it's readiness. A fast thinker keeps their mind active, alert, and prepared. They stay informed, read often, and reflect on ideas. That reflection builds a mental library that they can pull from anytime. When a situation comes up, they don't panic. They already have reference points. That's how they answer quickly and wisely. It's also important to understand the rhythm of your speech. Great speakers know how to match their speaking pace with their thinking pace. If you talk faster than you think, you make mistakes. If you think faster than you talk, you lose engagement. The goal is harmony, where thought and speech move together like music. That's when you sound natural, confident, and sharp. One way to train your brain for this is through reading aloud. When you read aloud, you force your brain to process ideas and words together. It teaches you to think and speak in real time. Over time, this builds verbal agility. You begin to form thoughts faster, smoother, and more confidently. Another exercise is mental summarizing. Whenever you hear a story or a discussion, try to summarize it in 1 or 2 sentences in your mind. This trains your brain to capture essence quickly. When you can capture ideas fast, you can express them fast. The best communicators are not those who know everything, they're the ones who can explain anything simply. Thinking fast before you speak is also about confidence in silence. When you're not afraid of a small pause, you gain control. Silence gives you space to choose your best words. It also shows others that you're composed. People respect those who speak calmly because calmness signals intelligence. Nervous speech signals uncertainty. True genius in speaking doesn't come from knowing big words. It comes from knowing how to use simple words powerfully. Complex vocabulary may sound impressive, but it often creates distance. Simple language creates connection. The faster you can translate big thoughts into simple words, the more genius you sound. To think fast, you must trust your mind. Don't over-edit your thoughts before they come out. Overthinking slows you down. The key is to balance control and flow. Know your message, but let your words flow naturally. Genius is not about perfect sentences. It's about clear thinking and genuine expression. The most confident speakers are not afraid of mistakes. They understand that speaking is a process, not a performance. When they make a mistake, they correct it with grace. That calm correction shows intelligence. It proves that you're thinking in real time, adapting to the moment. People admire that honesty more than perfection. Over time, thinking fast before speaking becomes a habit. Your mind learns to organize ideas quicker. You begin to anticipate questions before they come. You start to feel confident in any situation, whether it's a meeting, an interview, or a debate. You stop fearing conversations and start enjoying them. That's when communication becomes an art, not a task. The mind works best when it's relaxed. Stress narrows your thoughts, calmness expands them. If you want to think fast, you must learn to stay calm even when you don't have answers yet. The right words always come. They just need a peaceful space to arrive. Thinking fast is not just about intelligence, it's about control. The control of your pace, your tone, your silence, and your emotions. When you master those, you become unstoppable. You start expressing your ideas with clarity and power. You stop reacting, you start responding. And that's when people begin to see you as thoughtful, sharp, and confident. So remember, speaking like a genius isn't about speaking quickly, it's about thinking clearly before you speak. It's about letting your brain breathe before your words leave your mouth. Once you learn to do that, every conversation becomes an opportunity, not to impress, but to connect. Your words are not just sounds, they're reflections of your thoughts, and the clearer your thoughts, the stronger your voice. The genius lies not in what you say first, but in what you choose to say next. Chapter 2. Calm mind, fast words. The faster your thoughts run, the more your tongue tries to catch up. But if your mind isn't calm, your words trip over each other. That's why some people talk a lot, but say very little. Their mind is noisy. Their focus jumps from one idea to another. Like lightning, they rush to speak before their thoughts have formed. The result, confusion. But a calm mind, now that's different. A calm mind creates space for words to flow. It allows ideas to line up neatly before they come out. Calmness is not slowness, it's control. Think of your brain like water. When the surface is rough, you can't see clearly. But when it's still, everything becomes visible. The same happens with your thoughts. A calm mind lets you see what to say and how to say it. That's why the best speakers aren't the loudest. They're the most centered. Calmness before speaking is like taking a breath before a dive. It doesn't take time. It gives you time. That short breath gives your brain a chance to organize thoughts. It helps you find the right words instead of the first ones. People who can think fast don't rush. They pause with purpose. That pause is where clarity lives. Most people believe quick thinking means speed. But true quickness is accuracy. It's not about speaking faster, it's about removing noise from your mind so your thoughts can move freely. You can't think fast when your brain is crowded with fear, worry, or self-doubt. The calmer you are, the faster your ideas travel from thought to speech. Nervousness is the biggest enemy of fast thinking. It tightens your body, shortens your breath, and clouds your mind. When you feel pressure, your brain goes into defense mode. It starts focusing on survival, not communication. That's why you forget simple words in stressful situations. Your brain is protecting you, not helping you. The secret is to teach it that speaking isn't danger, it's connection. Confidence comes from preparation and calm repetition. The more you speak, the less your brain panics. It learns that conversations are safe. You start to feel control over your words. That control gives you calm, and calm gives you speed. It's a circle. Calmness builds clarity, and clarity builds calmness. You can practice this anywhere. Before speaking, take one deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs and slowly leave. That one breath sends a message to your brain. I'm safe. Suddenly, your thoughts become clear. You begin to focus on what you want to say, not on how you're being judged. That's when fast thinking appears naturally, not forced, but flowing. Calm people sound intelligent, not because they know more, but because they give their words space. Their sentences land softly, but clearly. Their tone stays steady, even when challenged. They don't rush to fill silence. They let silence help them. In every conversation, the calm one always leads the rhythm. A calm mind also helps you read others better. When you're not caught in your own thoughts, you can notice facial expressions, tone and emotion. You can sense what people really mean, not just what they say. That awareness makes your responses smarter. You begin to adjust your words, your timing, even your energy. You become not just a fast thinker, but a sensitive one. There's science behind this too. When your body relaxes, your brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logic and creativity, works better. When you're anxious, that part shuts down, and your survival instincts take over. So when you calm your body, you actually unlock your brain's best performance. It's like switching on the genius mode inside you. Calmness also helps you handle surprises. Imagine you're in a conversation and someone challenges your idea. Most people panic. Their mind starts racing. But if you stay calm, your brain can think logically under pressure. You start asking yourself smart questions like, what's the real issue here? Or how can I explain this better? Those who stay calm control the direction of any discussion. Fast words don't come from rushing, they come from rhythm. Calm speakers have rhythm in their speech. They know when to pause, when to emphasize, and when to breathe. This rhythm keeps their audience engaged. It also gives their brain time to prepare the next line without anyone noticing. That's the secret most public speakers use. They're not talking faster, they're thinking smoother. To think and speak fast, you need to practice slowing down internally. The calmer you are on the inside, the more efficient your brain becomes. It's like tuning an instrument. When the strings are tight and balanced, the sound is beautiful. When they're too tight or loose, it's noise. Calmness tunes your thoughts so they can play in harmony. You'll notice calm speakers don't compete for attention. They don't raise their voice to be heard. They make people listen by how they speak. Their calmness draws others in. Their presence feels safe, confident, and steady. That's what genius communication looks like. It's power without pressure. To develop this level of calm, you have to understand your triggers. What makes you nervous? Is it the fear of being judged or of being wrong? Once you identify that, you can face it. Remember, people don't remember perfect words. They remember how you made them feel. If your calmness makes them feel respected and understood, you've already won. Some of the world's best thinkers, leaders, and communicators share one common trait. They don't rush to speak. They let silence do the heavy lifting. They use stillness as strength. That's not by accident. They know that calmness gives them control of both their message and the room. Calmness also gives you time to observe your own emotions. When you speak while angry or anxious, your message gets lost. But when you recognize your emotion and breathe through it, your brain stays sharp. That sharpness is what people mistake for genius. It's really emotional control. Practicing calm thinking doesn't require hours of meditation. It just needs awareness. Notice your thoughts before you speak. Notice your heartbeat, your tone, your breath. Once you can control those, words start forming naturally. Calm thinking turns chaos into clarity. Another trick for calm and fast speaking is visualization. Before an important talk, imagine yourself calm and confident. Picture your words flowing easily, your audience listening. This mental picture prepares your brain for success. When the real moment comes, it feels familiar, your body relaxes, and your thoughts flow faster. Calmness also teaches humility. When you're calm, you don't need to prove anything. You speak to connect, not to compete. You begin to listen with genuine curiosity. That curiosity makes your mind sharper and your answers more thoughtful. It turns every conversation into a chance to learn, not perform. There's beauty in being calm and quick at once. It's a balance, like a still lake that reflects everything clearly. You don't have to slow your mind, you just have to stop it from spinning. Once it's still, your intelligence rises to the surface naturally. Thinking fast is like playing chess with your words. You can't predict everything, but you can stay ready. Calmness gives you that readiness. It keeps you alert without being tense. It makes you adaptable, and adaptability is what separates quick thinkers from reactive speakers. In time, calm communication becomes your natural state. You'll notice that you start speaking less, but saying more. Your words will carry weight. Because they come from clarity, people will start trusting your voice. Not because it's loud, but because it feels steady. Remember this, calmness is not silence. It's awareness. It's being fully present without panic. When your mind is calm, even in chaos, your thoughts align. That's when your words become powerful. Every time you feel nervous, remind yourself fast thinking begins with slow breathing. Take that breath, feel it. Let it guide your thoughts. Let your calmness shape your words. Because the calm mind doesn't chase words, it lets them come. The real genius isn't the one who speaks first, it's the one who speaks wisely, and wisdom only comes to a quiet mind. So, the next time you're about to speak, don't rush. Don't fear silence. Breathe. Think. Then, speak with calm confidence. That's how you think fast without losing control. That's how you speak like a genius. Chapter 3. The Thinking Gap. How to use silence as power. Every great communicator has something in common. They all understand the power of silence. They know that silence isn't awkward. It's not weakness. It's not hesitation. It's control. Most people rush to fill every quiet moment because they fear what silence means. But the smartest thinkers, the ones who sound like geniuses, use silence as a weapon. Silence is the gap between your thought and your words. It's a small pause where the brain collects, connects, and creates. In that moment, your thoughts line up, your tone adjusts, and your message sharpens. Most people skip this gap. They speak before their brain has finished thinking. That's why they sound unsure or scattered. The secret is not to eliminate silence, but to master it. When you use silence well, people listen more. They lean in. They wait for what comes next. It builds anticipation. It gives your words gravity. That's why calm, confident people can say something simple and still sound brilliant. Their silence makes others pay attention. Think about great speakers, leaders, teachers, storytellers. They all use pauses like punctuation. They don't rush. They let their words breathe. That's what makes their message powerful. When you speak too fast, your listener doesn't have time to process. But when you pause, both you and your listener think together. That shared space creates connection. Silence also gives you emotional control. When you pause before responding, you take back power from impulse. You stop reacting. You start responding. That single moment can change the tone of a conversation. A pause can turn anger into calm, chaos into clarity, conflict into understanding. It's a simple tool that few people use well because they're afraid of it. Most people believe silence is uncomfortable. They think it makes them look unsure. But it actually makes you look confident. When you pause, it shows you're thinking. It shows that your words are chosen, not blurted. Listeners respect that. They start seeing you as thoughtful. The smartest people aren't the ones who talk non-stop. They're the ones who make every word count. Using silence doesn't mean being quiet all the time. It means using the right kind of silence. The silence that thinks, the silence that holds meaning. The silence that makes people feel the weight of your next words. You can practice this. The next time you talk, notice the moments you rush. Instead of filling them with noise, stop for a second. Breathe. Then continue. You'll see how people listen differently. There's also a science behind it. Your brain needs milliseconds to organize thoughts. When you pause, you give your neurons time to connect ideas. You make sense of what you're saying. The listener's brain does the same. So when you pause, both brains synchronize. That's why great speakers feel magnetic. They literally give your brain time to follow theirs. Silence also shows emotional maturity. People who can stay calm in silence have control over their emotions. They don't speak from panic, they speak from purpose. It's a sign of self-awareness. When someone challenges them, they don't rush to defend. They take a breath, think, and then respond wisely. That composure feels like genius because it's rare. One of the best places to use silence is after a question. When someone asks you something, don't answer instantly. Pause for 2 seconds, look calm, think. That small delay gives your brain clarity and makes your answer sound confident. It also shows you're taking the question seriously. People trust those who think before speaking. The same rule applies in arguments. When emotions rise, silence is your shield. It keeps you from saying something you'll regret. It also disarms the other person. They expect a fight, but your calm silence changes the rhythm. It makes them slow down. It brings the temperature of the moment down. In silence, logic comes back. Using silence as power also builds mystery. People who talk less often seem more intelligent because they don't give everything away. Their words feel valuable because they're rare. They create curiosity. The mind fills in the blanks. That's not manipulation, it's psychology. Humans are wired to pay attention to what isn't said as much as what is said. In professional settings, silence can shift authority. When you pause during a presentation, people focus. When you stay silent after making a point, the silence emphasizes it. It's like underlining your words with quiet. It signals confidence and control. You're not begging for attention, you're commanding it. Learning to use silence takes awareness. You have to resist the urge to rush. When someone finishes talking, don't jump in. Wait, let their words settle. That short pause shows patience. It also gives your brain a chance to prepare your best response. This is how people who always know what to say actually do it. They think in the gap. Silence also helps you read the room. In that moment of stillness, you can observe reactions. You can see who's listening, who's distracted, who's agreeing, who's unsure. Those few seconds give you valuable information that words can't. Silence turns you from a talker into an observer, and observers are always smarter communicators. There's a kind of confidence that silence gives you. When you no longer fear quiet moments, you start controlling the rhythm of any interaction. You can slow things down when others rush. You can pause to make your listener wait. You can use silence like a musician uses rest notes to make the music more beautiful. People often think fast speakers sound smart, but in truth, it's the ones who pace themselves who stand out. Their silence between words makes their message sound intentional. Every sentence feels crafted, not improvised. That's what genius sounds like. It's not fast, it's precise. Silence can also be a form of listening. When you don't interrupt, people open up. They reveal more. They feel understood. The best conversationalists know this. They let silence do the work. They don't fill it with advice or comments. They just listen. And when they finally speak, their words hit harder because they've listened deeply. There's another kind of silence, the inner one. It's the quiet you create in your own mind before you speak. Most people carry noise in their head while others talk. They're busy preparing their next line instead of listening. But when your inner world is silent, you can truly hear, and that silence makes your responses clearer, kinder, and wiser. Silence also teaches humility. It reminds you that you don't always have to have the last word. Sometimes silence says more than speech ever could. It shows confidence, empathy, and wisdom all at once. Great thinkers know when to speak and when to stay quiet. Both are forms of intelligence. To think fast, you must think cleanly. Silence cleans the mind. It removes clutter. It slows time down just enough for your thoughts to form in order. When you practice silence regularly, you begin to notice how often people talk without saying anything. You stop doing that yourself. You start speaking less, but your words carry more truth. The power of silence lies in how it makes people feel. It draws them in. It makes them reflect. It allows emotion to breathe. When you pause before something important, people sense meaning. They wait for your next word. That moment of waiting builds anticipation, and anticipation makes your words land with impact. Silence is the space where intelligence lives. It's where thoughts are born and shaped before they become speech. Without it, we just make noise. With it, we create understanding. So the next time you're in a conversation, remember this: you don't have to fill every second. You don't have to rush your words. Let silence be part of your sentence. Let it work for you. When you master the gap between thought and speech, you'll find that you no longer panic in conversations. You'll think faster, sound wiser, and feel calmer. People will start calling you a great communicator, but what they'll really mean is you've mastered silence, because in the end, the smartest people aren't the ones who speak the most. They're the ones who know when to pause. Chapter 4. The Science of Sharp Thinking. Everyone wants to sound smart, but very few understand how the mind actually works when we speak. Speaking is not just about words, it's about thought speed, memory, and focus. The people who speak like geniuses don't have bigger brains, they simply know how to use their brains better. They've trained themselves to think sharply and clearly before words ever leave their mouth. Your brain is like a highway. Every idea you've ever learned travels down it. When you're calm and focused, those thoughts move smoothly. When you're nervous, distracted, or tired, the highway gets jammed. Cars pile up. Thoughts crash into each other. You can feel it. You know what you want to say, but the words won't come. That's not because you're not smart. It's because your brain is too busy managing chaos to communicate clearly. Sharp thinking begins with mental clarity. That means clearing the traffic before you drive. The best thinkers organize their minds like a clean desk. They remove distractions. They focus on one idea at a time. When your brain has space, your ideas start connecting faster. That's how people seem to think on their feet. It's not magic, it's management. Most people think faster than they can speak. The problem is, their thoughts move in random directions. Genius speakers, on the other hand, think in straight lines. They know where they're going before they start talking. This linear thinking gives them control. They don't get lost mid-sentence. Their words sound natural, smooth, and confident because they're following a mental map. The science of sharp thinking also comes down to focus. Your brain has something called working memory. It's like a mental notepad. It can hold only a few thoughts at once. If you overload it with too many ideas, it freezes. That's why people forget mid-sentence or repeat themselves. But when you train your working memory through simple habits, like summarizing what you hear or mentally organizing before speaking, you start processing faster. The clearer your focus, the sharper your speech. Another secret is association. Sharp thinkers don't store information as random facts. They connect them. Every new thing they learn links to something they already know. This web of connections makes recall instant. When someone asks them a question, their brain doesn't search, it finds. The more connections you build, the faster your thinking becomes. Reading, observing, and reflecting are the tools that create those connections. There's also a biological reason some people sound sharper. When you're relaxed, your brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for reasoning and speech, works efficiently. When you're stressed, your brain releases cortisol, which slows that area down. That's why calm people sound more intelligent. Their brain is literally functioning better. So if you want to think faster, the first step isn't speaking quicker, it's calming your body. Sharp thinking also depends on curiosity. The more curious you are, the stronger your brain becomes. Curiosity feeds your mind with new material. It keeps your neurons active. A curious brain doesn't freeze under pressure. It adapts. People who ask why and how often have quicker thoughts because their brains are used to connecting ideas. Curiosity is like mental exercise. It keeps your brain fit and flexible. Listening plays a big role too. When you listen carefully, your brain gathers data before it speaks. That preparation makes your responses sharper. You're not guessing. You're building from context. The smartest speakers are the best listeners. They think before they reply, and their words always seem perfectly placed because they're responding to what's actually being said, not just waiting to talk. There's also a rhythm to sharp thinking. Your thoughts have a tempo. When your body is tense, that rhythm breaks. Your mind starts to stutter, but when you're relaxed, your thoughts move like music. You can sense timing. You can anticipate what comes next. This rhythm creates natural flow in speech. That's why calm, confident people often sound like they were born to talk. They've mastered mental rhythm. To sharpen your thinking, you must challenge your brain daily. Read something new, have conversations that stretch your ideas, practice explaining things simply. The more you challenge your mind, the faster it learns to organize thoughts. Just like muscles, your brain strengthens through use. The more you think, the faster you become. Another key part of sharp thinking is reflection. After a conversation, ask yourself, what did I say well? What could I have said better? This small habit improves your thinking speed over time. Reflection teaches your brain what worked and what didn't. Soon you'll start improving automatically in the next conversation. Every reflection polishes your mental blade. Sharp thinking also involves clarity of intention. Before you speak, know your purpose. Are you informing, persuading, or connecting? When your goal is clear, your brain filters out unnecessary thoughts. Your words become focused. People can feel when you speak with purpose. It sounds deliberate and strong. Confusion disappears when intention is clear. Another interesting thing about sharp thinkers, they know how to slow time, not literally but mentally. When they're under pressure, they don't panic. They stretch the moment in their minds, giving themselves space to think. That's why in arguments or interviews, they appear calm while others rush. They've trained their brain to process quickly, even when emotions rise. That skill separates confident speakers from reactive ones. A sharp thinker is also emotionally intelligent. They don't let feelings hijack their logic. When anger, fear, or pride shows up, they notice it, but don't let it drive their words. This balance keeps their communication clean. Emotion gives passion to speech, but logic gives direction. Together they create powerful expression. Your brain also responds to your language. When you tell yourself, "I'm nervous," your brain believes it. But when you tell yourself, "I'm excited," your brain redirects that energy positively. The words you use internally shape how you think externally. So talk to yourself like a genius, calm, confident, focused. The brain listens to what you say about yourself. Sharpening your thinking doesn't mean becoming serious or robotic. It means learning to balance speed with sense. It means knowing when to pause, when to respond, and when to stay silent. It means thinking with intention instead of impulse. Once you master that, your words begin to sound effortless, even when the topic is complex. Many people mistake talking fast for thinking fast. But if you notice, truly sharp speakers often slow down slightly. They let their words land. Their calmness makes them sound certain. People listen because they trust the control in their voice. Sharp thinking creates that control. It's the foundation of authority. To think sharply, you also need curiosity about people. Every person you talk to is a window into a new world. When you approach conversations with interest, your brain engages naturally. You remember details, you connect faster, you respond better. Empathy feeds intelligence. The more you understand others, the more effectively you can express yourself. Rest is another secret to sharpness. A tired brain cannot think quickly. Sleep gives your mind time to organize memories and clear noise. When you're rested, you process faster. You respond better. The best communicators take care of their brain as seriously as they take care of their words. There's something magnetic about sharp thinkers. They make conversations feel easy. They never sound lost, even when they're improvising. That comes from mental agility, the ability to move smoothly between ideas. This agility grows when you practice awareness. Be present, listen deeply, think consciously. Over time, your brain becomes a well-trained athlete that reacts gracefully in every situation. The science behind thinking fast is simple: focus, calmness, and curiosity. Those three things together form mental clarity, and mental clarity creates verbal confidence. You don't need to know everything to sound smart. You just need to understand what you're saying. Sharp thinking doesn't come from more information. It comes from better organization of what you already know. So the next time you want to speak like a genius, don't focus on finding perfect words. Focus on creating a clear mind. Take a breath. Organize your thoughts. Let silence do its work. Then speak slowly, clearly, and with purpose. Your words will hit harder, your message will sound smarter, and your confidence will rise. Sharp thinking isn't a gift. It's a practice. Anyone can develop it. And when you do, every conversation becomes an opportunity to show not just how much you know, but how well you think. Chapter 5. The Language of Confidence. Confidence isn't just a feeling, it's a language. You can hear it, you can see it, and most importantly, you can feel it. When a confident person speaks, people listen. Not because they're louder, not because they're smarter, but because every word carries calm assurance. That's what makes them sound like geniuses. They believe what they say, and that belief transfers to everyone listening. But confidence doesn't come from never being nervous. It comes from knowing how to handle that nervousness. Even the greatest speakers feel their heart race before they talk. The difference is, they use that energy instead of fighting it. They turn fear into focus. Their mind stays sharp, their tone stays steady, and their words come out clear. The language of confidence begins in your mind. Before you open your mouth, your brain is already speaking through your body. The way you breathe, stand, and think, all of it shapes the words you say. When your body is tense, your voice shakes. When your thoughts are scattered, your speech follows. But when your posture opens up and your thoughts slow down, your voice becomes steady. People can hear calmness, even if you don't say a word yet. Confidence also comes from preparation. When you know what you're talking about, your brain doesn't panic. It feels safe. You can focus on connection, not survival. That's why the best speakers don't memorize every line. They understand their message deeply. They don't need scripts because they own their ideas. When you truly understand what you're saying, your brain stops doubting itself. You speak from knowing, not guessing. The sound of your voice also carries confidence. Confident people don't rush. They don't fill every silence with words. They use pauses as power. They don't talk too high or too low. They find a natural tone that feels easy. When you're calm, your voice vibrates deeper and smoother. That tone signals trust. It tells your listener, I believe what I'm saying, and you can too. But confidence isn't just about how you sound. It's about how you see yourself. If you walk into a room thinking, I don't belong here, your body will show it, your words will shrink. But if you think I deserve to be heard, your body aligns with that belief. Confidence begins with self-permission. The permission to take up space, to be seen, to be heard without apology. You don't have to pretend to be someone else to sound confident. In fact, pretending makes you sound nervous. Real confidence comes from authenticity. It's when your inside and outside match, when your words reflect your true thoughts, when your tone reflects your real emotions. People can sense honesty immediately. It's what makes them trust you. Confidence in speaking is not about ego, it's about clarity. You're not trying to impress others, you're trying to express yourself clearly. That's why confident speakers rarely use complicated words. They speak simply, but with purpose. Every sentence feels intentional. Their clarity becomes their power. To speak like a genius, you have to practice self-trust. That means believing that your thoughts are valuable, even if they're not perfect. Many people lose confidence because they judge themselves mid-sentence. They start editing their words while talking. That inner critic slows down your mind. The trick is to let your thoughts flow first, then shape them as you go. Trust that your brain knows what it's doing. Confidence also grows through repetition. The more you speak, the less afraid you become. Every conversation is a small rehearsal. You don't get confidence by waiting until you're ready. You get it by doing. The act of speaking itself trains your brain to relax. Over time, it becomes natural. There's also a physical side to confidence. Your breath controls your mind. Shallow breathing makes you anxious. Deep breathing calms you. When you breathe deeply, your voice stabilizes, your body relaxes, and your thoughts flow. Before speaking, take one deep breath. It's simple but powerful. That one breath resets your brain. It tells your body, "I've got this." Body language is another part of the language of confidence. Confident people stand tall, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady. They don't shrink or fidget. They don't look around nervously. They focus fully on the person in front of them. This stillness gives power to their presence. People remember how you made them feel more than what you said. Calm confidence makes others feel safe and respected. Confidence also means being okay with mistakes. Everyone messes up words sometimes. The difference is how you recover. A nervous person panics. A confident person laughs it off and continues. They don't let one stumble define them. They know the message matters more than perfection. The audience remembers your energy, not your grammar. When you speak confidently, people not only hear your words, they feel your conviction. Conviction is contagious. If you believe in what you're saying, others start believing too. That's how leaders inspire. That's how ideas spread. Confidence makes your message magnetic. Confidence also shows up in the way you handle silence. Most people rush to fill it. Confident speakers don't. They use silence like punctuation. They pause to let meaning land. They understand that quiet moments aren't empty. They're powerful. A pause after a strong statement lets people absorb it. It makes your words echo longer in their minds. The language of confidence is also emotional control. When you're calm inside, your brain stays clear even in stress. That's what makes people say he always knows what to say. It's not magic, it's calm under pressure. When you control your inner world, you control the conversation. You can also build confidence by focusing outward. Instead of thinking, "What do they think of me?" think, "How can I help them understand?" That shift takes pressure off you. It turns speaking into service. When your focus moves from self to purpose, fear fades. You stop performing and start connecting. Confidence is not arrogance. Arrogance shouts. Confidence speaks. Arrogance wants attention. Confidence commands it naturally. Arrogance fills space. Confidence creates it. The difference is humility. A confident speaker knows they're good, but they also know they can learn. That balance makes them approachable and wise. The language of confidence is also found in listening. Confident people don't interrupt. They don't rush to reply. They listen deeply and respond thoughtfully. That patience makes them sound intelligent. It shows they're not afraid of silence, and they're not desperate to prove themselves. Confidence also grows from small wins. Every time you express your thoughts clearly, no matter how simple, you build proof. Your brain records that success. The next time you speak, it reminds you, "You did this before." Over time, that proof becomes belief, and belief becomes calm. To sound confident, slow down your pace. Fast talking signals nervous energy. Steady speech signals control. When you slow down, you think clearer. You give your listener time to follow you. You start sounding like someone who knows exactly what they mean. Your vocabulary also affects your confidence. Avoid filler words like you know, or like. They make your speech sound uncertain. Replace them with pauses. Silence is always more powerful than noise. Confidence isn't born, it's built. It's built through small choices. Breathing deeply, standing tall, speaking slowly, and believing in your ideas. You don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to speak with conviction. People listen to those who listen to themselves first. Every time you speak, you're not just sharing words, you're sharing energy. Confidence is that invisible force that makes people trust your energy. It's the signal that says, I'm calm, I know my truth, I'm here with purpose. When that energy fills your voice, every word sounds stronger. So the next time you speak, remember this. You don't need to sound like anyone else. You don't need perfect grammar or fancy words. You just need to believe what you're saying. You just need to mean it. That's the real language of confidence. Speak clearly. Breathe slowly. Stand tall and let your calm voice carry your message. That's how geniuses speak. Not louder, not faster, but with quiet certainty that every word counts. Chapter 6. How to control the conversation without dominating it. The smartest people in the room are rarely the loudest. They don't fight to speak first or try to talk over others. Yet somehow the whole conversation seems to follow them. People pause when they speak. They listen closely. It feels effortless. But it's not luck. It's skill. This is the art of controlling a conversation without dominating it. Most people think control means talking more. But real control is about guiding, not overpowering. It's about using calm confidence, thoughtful timing, and emotional awareness to steer the discussion where you want it to go. It's about making people feel heard while helping them see your point of view. It's subtle power, the kind geniuses use. When you dominate a conversation, people pull away. They stop listening and start waiting for their turn to speak. But when you control it with grace, they open up. They trust you. They start following your rhythm. That's the difference between speaking to win and speaking to connect. To control a conversation, you first need presence. Presence means being fully there, not thinking ahead, not replaying the past, just listening with complete attention. When you're present, your responses feel natural and precise. People sense that you're really with them. That sense of attention creates respect. And respect creates influence. People naturally give control to those who make them feel understood. When you truly listen, you make others feel safe to talk. And when they talk, you learn everything you need to guide the conversation intelligently. Control begins with silence. You listen first, speak second. The best communicators ask the right questions. Questions shift power. When you ask thoughtful questions, you lead without forcing. You guide the direction of thought. You make people reflect. Instead of pushing your ideas, you pull theirs out. Then, once they've spoken, you gently shape the discussion by connecting your ideas to theirs. That's invisible control. For example, if someone disagrees with you, don't interrupt. Let them finish. Then say something like, "That's an interesting point. Can I share another angle?" This small phrase keeps respect intact while smoothly steering the flow. You haven't dominated, you've redirected, and they'll listen because you listened first. Tone is another secret weapon. Your voice carries emotion, and emotion controls attention. When you stay calm, others stay calm. When you speak with warmth, people soften. When your tone is steady, people listen longer. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. You just need to lower your tone to be felt. There's also power in pacing. Most people speak fast when they're nervous or excited, but quick speech can sound like desperation. When you slow down, your words gain weight. Listeners feel that you have time, which means you have confidence, and when you sound confident, people naturally follow your lead. To control a conversation, you must also control your emotions. Arguments often spin out of control because people stop listening and start reacting. But if you can stay composed, you become the anchor. You calm the energy around you. Others start matching your tone without realizing it. Emotional control is the quietest form of authority. Genius communicators know how to read energy. They notice when someone feels defensive or distant. Instead of pushing harder, they ease off. They ask gentle questions or shift topics slightly. They understand that control isn't about pressure, it's about flow. The goal is not to win every point. The goal is to keep the exchange alive, productive and respectful. Listening deeply gives you information, but observation gives you insight. Watch how people move, how they breathe, how they react. A small sigh, a shift in posture, or a flicker of the eyes tells you more than words. This awareness lets you adjust in real time. You can sense when to pause, when to push, and when to let silence work for you. The people who control conversations effortlessly do something special. They mirror energy. If the room feels tense, they soften it. If the group is quiet, they bring warmth. If someone's anxious, they slow their pace. This emotional intelligence builds trust. And trust is what gives you real influence. One of the greatest myths is that to be in control, you must always have an answer. That's not true. Sometimes control means knowing when not to speak. Saying, "That's a good question. Let me think for a second," shows maturity. It tells people you value accuracy over speed. It makes you look thoughtful, not uncertain. The best communicators guide conversations through curiosity. They're not trying to prove they're right. They're trying to understand. They ask why instead of what, and how instead of who. These questions open doors. They give others space to think, and in that space, you find the path to move the discussion forward intelligently. Controlling a conversation is also about structure. Great speakers naturally create order. They summarize what's been said, highlight what matters, and guide the next step. You might say, "So if I understand correctly, we both agree on this part, right?" That small summary shows leadership. It organizes the conversation. People follow structure because it feels safe. Another key to conversational control is calm body language. The way you sit, move, or gesture can shift power instantly. When you stay still, you project strength. When you fidget or over-gesture, you leak energy. Hold eye contact gently, not intensely. Relax your shoulders. Keep your tone steady. People mirror what they see. Your calmness becomes contagious. To keep control, never argue emotionally. Arguments are traps. They pull you into noise. Instead, redirect. Say, "I see what you mean. Let's look at it from another side." That phrase is powerful. It doesn't resist. It refocuses. You stay in charge of the flow without raising tension. Smart communicators also know the value of validation. When you validate someone's point, they lower their defenses. You might say, "That's a fair thought," or "I can understand why you'd see it that way." This doesn't mean you agree. It means you respect. Once people feel respected, they become more open to your perspective. Respect is the quiet bridge between minds. Controlling a conversation also means controlling time. Don't let small talk go on too long if it leads nowhere. Gently bring it back with phrases like, "That's interesting, so how does that connect to what we were discussing?" This small shift keeps things focused without feeling forced. Confidence grows when you stop trying to prove yourself. The person who constantly needs to be right loses respect. The one who speaks calmly and listens deeply gains it. Control is not dominance, it's direction. It's subtle, intelligent leadership through tone, timing, and awareness. The greatest speakers make others feel smart. They lift people, not overpower them. They know that when others feel heard, they listen more openly in return. Control is not about having the final word, it's about shaping how words are exchanged. If you ever feel like you're losing control of a conversation, return to your breath, slow it down. Listen for 5 seconds before speaking, recenter your thoughts, then speak calmly and with purpose. This small reset changes everything. It brings you back to clarity, and clarity restores control. When you practice this skill enough, it becomes natural. You'll notice people waiting for your responses, following your tone, and mirroring your pace. They'll feel your calmness without you saying a word. That's when you'll realize you don't need to dominate to lead, you just need to stay grounded. Control is not loud, it's quiet, it's subtle, it's felt, not forced. It's when you speak less, but mean more. It's when people listen not because you demand it, but because your presence commands it. The real genius in speaking isn't in how much you say, it's in how much power your words carry when you finally choose to speak. Chapter 7. How to read people's minds while they talk. The smartest communicators in the world don't just listen to words, they listen to everything behind them. They hear tone, notice pauses, and read expressions. They can tell what a person is thinking, even when that person doesn't say it. It's not magic, it's awareness. This ability to read minds is what separates average speakers from those who connect deeply and respond perfectly. When someone talks, their words are only a small part of the message. The rest is emotion, energy, and intention. If you want to think fast and speak smart, you have to learn how to see the invisible. Words may lie, but feelings don't. And if you can read what someone truly feels, your responses will always sound thoughtful, accurate, and powerful. The first step to reading people is to slow down your own mind. Most people listen only to reply. They're busy preparing their next line while the other person is still speaking. That makes you miss all the clues, the sighs, the hesitations, the changes in tone. When you silence your own inner voice and really observe, people become transparent. You can sense what they mean even if they don't say it clearly. Notice how someone's face changes when they speak. Do their eyes light up, or do they fade? When they're uncomfortable, their body stiffens. When they're confident, their gestures flow. People reveal their emotions through movement before words ever catch up. If you want to understand someone's mind, study their body, not just their mouth. Tone tells you even more than words. Two people can say the same sentence, but tone changes everything. I'm fine can mean peace, or it can mean pain. A fast, shaky voice may signal excitement or anxiety. A slow, heavy tone may mean sadness or calm. Learn to listen for rhythm, not just vocabulary. The heart speaks through tone long before the brain finishes the sentence. When someone pauses before answering, that silence is a clue. It means they're thinking, choosing words carefully, or hiding something. Don't rush to fill that silence. Observe it. The length of a pause can tell you more than 100 words. People often reveal truth in what they don't say. If you want to read people well, you must also control your own emotions. When your mind is calm, you notice details others miss. But when you're anxious or defensive, your focus narrows. You start hearing only what you want to hear. Calmness expands awareness. It allows you to read between the lines without judgment. Empathy is the key to this skill. Empathy means putting yourself in the other person's place for a moment. Ask yourself, what might they be feeling right now? Or why would they say that? When you do this, your brain begins mirroring theirs. You start understanding motivation, not just message. That understanding helps you predict what they might say next, and that's how you appear to think fast. You don't need psychic power to read minds. You just need to notice patterns. When people talk about what they love, their energy rises, their voice gets brighter. When they lie, they blink more or avoid direct eye contact. When they feel judged, they cross their arms or lean back. Every gesture tells a story. Your job is to see the story behind the sentence. The best speakers are also great observers. They don't rush into speaking, they absorb first. They scan the room, sense the energy, and match their tone accordingly. If the mood is tense, they start slow and warm. If it's light and playful, they move faster and smile more. They adapt like water. They fit the shape of the moment. That's real communication intelligence. Reading people isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding. When you understand someone's emotional state, you can respond in a way that makes them feel safe. And when people feel safe, they open up. They trust you. Trust makes every conversation deeper. Sometimes people say the opposite of what they feel. They'll say, "I'm okay," when they're hurting, or "it's not a big deal," when it actually is. If you're observant, you'll catch the small signals, the lower voice, the weak smile, the eyes that look away. Don't expose them or confront them. Instead, respond gently. Say something like, "I hear you, but I can tell it's been a lot." That small act of awareness builds connection faster than perfect words ever could. When someone talks, pay attention to their breathing. Fast breathing usually means stress or excitement. Slow breathing means calm. Shallow breathing means discomfort or tension. The body and mind are linked. When one changes, the other follows. Reading breath is reading emotion in real time. Another important thing is to observe people's choice of words. The words people choose reflect how they think. Someone who says, "I can't" a lot may feel powerless. Someone who often says, "I'll try," is unsure. People who use words like always or never often think in extremes. When you notice these patterns, you begin understanding how their mind works. That gives you the ability to respond in a way that fits their world, not just yours. There's also the mirror technique. When you subtly match someone's tone, pace, or posture, their brain begins to relax. It recognizes you as similar. This is called mirroring. It builds instant comfort and trust. The trick is to do it naturally, not like an act. When someone leans in slightly, you lean in too. When they slow down, you slow too. You're not copying, you're synchronizing. Listening with your eyes is just as important as listening with your ears. Notice micro-expressions, tiny half-second changes in the face. A flash of anger, a quick smile, a flicker of sadness. They happen too fast for words to hide. The more you pay attention, the more visible they become. Genius communicators don't judge reactions. They study them. When someone disagrees, they don't take it personally. They see it as data. Every reaction is a clue to what that person values, fears, or believes. The more data you gather, the better you can respond. You can also learn to read groups, not just individuals. In a meeting or crowd, feel the overall energy. Are people engaged or distracted? Are they leaning forward or checking their phones? The group's energy tells you if your message is landing or missing. Adjust accordingly. Slower, change tone, or ask a question to re-engage. A great speaker doesn't force attention, they earn it by reading the room. To sharpen this skill, practice active observation daily. Watch people in conversation, even strangers. Guess what they might be feeling based on body language. Then see if your guess matches their tone. Over time, your accuracy improves. You'll start noticing emotional signals faster than others can hide them. The ability to read people also helps you stay kind. When you see that someone's anger hides pain or fear, you respond with patience instead of defense. That emotional awareness turns conflict into understanding. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. There's something magical that happens when you truly understand someone. They feel seen. They feel valued. And in that moment, your influence grows. Because people don't remember perfect speakers. They remember how you made them feel understood. When you can read someone's emotional state, you also gain control over your own response. You no longer react blindly. You choose words carefully. You stay calm because you see the full picture. This is what gives you the appearance of instant wisdom, because while others react, you interpret. Over time, you'll realize that conversations are not battles of words, they're exchanges of energy. Reading people means reading that energy and adjusting yours to match or guide it. You can calm an angry person by being calm. You can energize a bored crowd by being excited. You can soothe fear with empathy. The moment you learn this, you stop talking at people and start speaking with them. When you master this skill, thinking fast becomes easy. Because now, you're not guessing. You're responding to what's truly happening. You're no longer lost in your head. You're connected to the moment, fully aware. And awareness makes you look effortlessly intelligent. The real genius of speaking isn't just in what you say, it's in what you sense. When you can read people's emotions, understand their motives, and respond with calm clarity, you hold quiet power. People feel drawn to you, even if they don't know why. So from now on, listen beyond words. Watch, feel, sense. Let silence teach you what sound hides. Once you learn to read people's minds while they talk, you'll never be confused in a conversation again. You'll always know what's really being said, even when no one's saying it out loud. That's how geniuses communicate. They don't speak more, they see more. Chapter 8. The Power of Emotional Control. While speaking, there's one thing that separates good speakers from great ones: emotional control. You can have the best words, the best ideas, and the best intentions, but if you lose control of your emotions, everything falls apart. People may not remember every word you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. And if your emotions control your speech instead of you controlling them, your message will never land the way you want. Every time you speak, you bring your emotions with you. They're in your tone, your rhythm, your breathing, even your body language. If you're nervous, your voice tightens. If you're angry, your pace speeds up. If you're confident, your tone feels warm and calm. The problem is, most people don't realize their emotions are talking louder than their words. Emotional control doesn't mean hiding your feelings. It means mastering them. It means knowing what you feel and choosing how to express it. When you can feel deeply but stay steady, that's power. Because emotions are energy, and when you guide that energy instead of letting it explode, your words hit harder. Think about moments when you've lost your temper or panicked mid-conversation. Your brain shuts down, right? You can't think straight. You say things you don't mean. That's because emotion hijacks logic. When you're angry or scared, your brain's prefrontal cortex, the part that handles decision-making, goes quiet. Your body goes into fight or flight. You're not thinking anymore, you're reacting. That's why emotional control is not just about calmness, it's about keeping access to your intelligence when others lose theirs. The people who seem like geniuses in tough situations are not emotionless. They've just trained themselves to pause before emotion takes over. They know that when everyone else is losing control, calmness becomes authority. When you stay calm, people listen. When you panic, they stop. One of the best ways to control emotion is through breathing. Your breath is the remote control for your brain. When you slow it down, your body sends a signal that you're safe. Your heartbeat calms, your muscles loosen, and your thoughts clear. Every time you feel your emotions rising, take one slow, deep breath before you speak. It sounds simple, but that 1 second can change everything. Another part of emotional control is awareness. You have to catch emotion before it catches you. When you feel your voice shaking or your body tensing, don't ignore it. Notice it. Say to yourself, "I'm nervous," and that's okay. Awareness gives you distance. You stop being inside the emotion, you start observing it. That distance is what allows you to stay in charge. In heated moments, emotional control is your shield. Someone might insult you, challenge your idea, or raise their voice. The easy thing to do is to fight back, but when you match their energy, you lose control. The wise move is to stay grounded. Listen without reacting. Let them burn their energy while you save yours. When they finally stop, speak softly but clearly. Calm power always wins over loud chaos. Confidence and emotional control go hand in hand. The more control you have over your emotions, the more confident you sound. People trust calm voices because they signal stability. A calm voice says, "I'm not afraid," and when you sound unafraid, others start believing in you even before they understand you. Emotional control is also the secret to thinking fast. When you're calm, your brain has full access to memory and logic. You can recall facts, form sentences, and respond intelligently. When you're emotional, your brain narrows down to survival. It forgets words, misses details, and creates mistakes. The calm mind always wins the mental race. One of the best examples of emotional control can be seen in great leaders and negotiators. They never rush to respond when challenged. They pause. That pause feels powerful because it shows control. It tells everyone, "I'm not reacting, I'm thinking." And in that small pause, they choose words that move people instead of breaking them. Sometimes emotional control means choosing silence. You don't always have to answer right away. If you feel overwhelmed, take a moment. Say, "Let me think about that." This simple line gives you time to calm down and reset. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It shows you value precision over impulse. Emotional control also helps you connect better. When you stay calm, you can sense what others are feeling. You can adjust your words to comfort, inspire, or motivate them. When you're lost in your own emotion, you can't see anyone else's. But when you're steady, you see everything. You become emotionally intelligent, not emotionally blind. One of the hardest emotions to control while speaking is fear. Fear of being judged, misunderstood, or rejected. But fear loses power when you face it. Remind yourself that everyone gets nervous. Even the most confident speakers started scared. The difference is, they didn't let fear decide their words. They spoke anyway. And with every speech, fear lost a little more control. When you speak, people mirror your energy. If you're tense, they feel tense. If you're calm, they relax. That's why emotional control doesn't just help you, it shapes the whole room. Your emotional state becomes the atmosphere. That's how leaders command space without raising their voice. Another key to emotional control is separating facts from feelings. When something triggers you, ask yourself, is this about what's happening or how I'm feeling about it? Most conflicts start because people mix the two. When you separate them, you respond with reason, not reaction. There's also a difference between passion and emotion. Passion drives your message. It gives life to your words. Emotion clouds it. Passion is fire, under control. Emotion is fire, out of control. You want to sound alive, not explosive. You want your energy to move people, not push them away. Learning emotional control takes practice. You won't master it in a day, but every time you choose calm over chaos, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you breathe before reacting, your mind learns that peace works better than panic. Eventually, calmness becomes your natural state. Emotionally controlled speakers don't suppress feeling, they channel it. If they're angry, they turn it into passion. If they're sad, they turn it into empathy. If they're nervous, they turn it into focus. Every emotion becomes fuel instead of fire. That's the true art of mastery. Think about the last time someone spoke to you with total composure. Maybe their voice was steady, their face calm, their words clear. Remember how it made you feel. Safe. Heard. That's what emotional control gives you. The ability to make others feel stable through your presence. You don't have to be emotionless to be powerful. You just have to stay balanced. Power without peace is aggression. But peace with power is influence. The person who can feel deeply but speak calmly will always lead the room. So the next time you speak and you feel your emotions rising, pause, breathe, look around, remind yourself that your mind is stronger than your feelings. Then speak with calm conviction. Because true intelligence isn't just in how fast you think, it's in how well you stay calm when everything around you isn't. That's what makes your words sound like genius. Chapter 9. How to win any conversation with listening power. Most people think that the way to win a conversation is to speak better. They try to find smarter words, stronger arguments, and perfect comebacks. But the truth is, the real power doesn't come from speaking. It comes from listening. The people who truly control conversations are the ones who listen so deeply that others feel understood. When people feel heard, they trust you. They open up and they follow your direction without even realizing it. Listening is not the same as hearing. Hearing is automatic. Your ears do it for you. Listening is a choice. It means being fully present, not thinking about what you'll say next, not checking your phone, not waiting for your turn. It means focusing all your attention on the person in front of you. When you do that, something powerful happens. The other person starts to relax. Their guard goes down. They feel respected. That's when real communication begins. In most conversations, people listen only to reply, not to understand. They nod, but their mind is already forming an answer. They catch half the words and miss the meaning. That's why so many discussions end in confusion. But great communicators do something different. They slow down, they listen for the feeling behind the words. They notice what's said and what's not said. They let silence do part of the talking. When you truly listen, you collect information that others miss. You hear patterns, emotions, contradictions. You begin to see the person behind the words. And that gives you an incredible advantage, because once you understand someone deeply, you can respond in a way that feels perfectly right to them. That's how you win, not by out-talking, but by out-understanding. Listening also gives you time. While others rush to respond, you pause. That pause makes you look thoughtful, composed, and confident. People associate silence with intelligence. It makes your next words sound more powerful because they come after reflection, not reaction. Listening is emotional intelligence in action. When you pay attention to someone's tone, you can feel what they're feeling. When you notice their pace, you can sense if they're excited or nervous. When you look into their eyes, you can tell if they're hiding pain or pride. These small clues tell you how to respond. A calm tone might need warmth. A fast, stressed tone might need calm reassurance. Every emotion deserves a response that matches it. Most people want the same thing, to be heard. Even in arguments, people don't want to be right as much as they want to feel understood. When you give someone that feeling, the argument often ends by itself. They stop defending and start trusting. They feel safe with you, and once people feel safe, you can guide the conversation anywhere. There's a quiet kind of power in being a good listener. You don't need to interrupt or overpower anyone. You simply make space for them, and when you finally speak, your words carry more weight because people know you're not just reacting, you're responding with care. Listening also improves your memory. When you pay real attention, your brain stores information better. You remember details that others forget. Later, when you bring those details up, people are amazed. They say, "Wow, you remembered that?" That's how you build trust and respect. The best leaders are always great listeners. They listen not only to words, but to moods, silences, and emotions. They make people feel valued. They don't rush to solve everything. They listen long enough to understand what the real problem is. When you listen that deeply, people start coming to you for advice. Not because you always have answers, but because you make them feel heard. To develop listening power, start with your body language. Face the person fully. Don't cross your arms. Don't glance away. Show that you're there with them. Small gestures like nodding slowly or keeping soft eye contact tell the other person, "I'm with you." You don't have to talk much. Presence is louder than words. Another key is curiosity. Instead of trying to sound interesting, be interested. Ask open questions like what happened next, or how did that make you feel? These simple questions encourage others to share more, and the more they share, the more insight you gain. Curiosity is how listeners become leaders. Listening also builds patience. You learn to sit with silence. You realize you don't have to fill every second with words. Silence is not empty, it's space for thought. It gives both people time to process. And in that space, understanding grows. Sometimes the most powerful response is just a nod or a small "I see." People don't always want advice, they want acknowledgement. When you validate their feelings without judgment, you create trust. Once that trust is there, your words start to matter more. Listening also helps you control your emotions. When you focus on understanding someone else, you stop focusing on your own nerves or frustration. That shift of attention calms you. It helps you think clearer and speak better. Listening is like a mental reset. It brings you back to the present moment. The best speakers in the world are also the best listeners. They gather ideas from everyone they meet. They notice details others miss. That's why their words always sound wise. They're built on layers of understanding. When you listen well, every conversation becomes a lesson. Listening also gives you perspective. You start to realize that not every disagreement needs a fight. Sometimes people just need to be heard. Once they feel that, they naturally soften. Your calm listening can turn conflict into connection. If you want to win in conversations, focus less on being clever and more on being curious. Don't aim to impress, aim to understand. When people talk, they're giving you a map of their mind. The better you follow that map, the more influence you gain. Listening also builds empathy. When you understand someone's feelings, even if you don't agree with them, you connect human to human. And that connection is what changes minds. No argument can compete with genuine empathy. Sometimes you'll meet people who talk too much, dominate every space, and rarely listen. Don't compete with them. Let them talk. Let them show who they are. While they're busy making noise, you're gathering information, you're staying calm, observing, preparing, and when your moment comes, your few words will carry more weight than their 100 sentences. Listening is not weakness, it's strategy. It's how you control the flow without force. You guide the rhythm of the talk by knowing when to speak and when to stay quiet. You lead from stillness. That's what makes people think you're wise. To practice, try this. In your next conversation, say less. Focus completely on the other person. Watch their expressions, their tone, their body language. Don't interrupt. Let them finish. Then respond slowly, with something simple but thoughtful. Notice how they react. You'll see a shift. Suddenly, they'll listen to you more carefully, because people mirror how they feel. When they feel heard, they start hearing you. When you make people feel important through your attention, they remember you. They'll describe you as kind, intelligent, easy to talk to. But what they're really describing is your listening power. In the end, communication is not a competition, it's a dance. Listening is how you find the rhythm. It's how you move in harmony with others instead of stepping on their feet. The better you listen, the smoother the dance becomes. So next time you speak, don't focus on sounding brilliant. Focus on being present. Listen deeply. Respond gently. That's how you win every conversation. Not with volume, not with logic, but with quiet understanding. Because the genius in speaking isn't about saying the most. It's about saying the right thing, at the right time, to the right feeling. And you can only do that when you listen first. Chapter 10. How to stay calm when you forget what to say. It happens to everyone. You're in the middle of a sentence, people are watching, and suddenly your mind goes blank. The words disappear, your throat tightens, and your heart starts to race. You feel heat rise in your face. You try to remember what you were saying, but the more you try, the emptier your mind feels. It's one of the most uncomfortable moments in speaking, but it's also one of the easiest to recover from if you know what to do. The truth is, even the best speakers forget what they're going to say. They just don't panic when it happens. They've learned how to stay calm and bring their mind back under control. That's what makes them look confident, even in silence. You can do the same. Forgetting isn't failure. It's your brain asking for a second to breathe. When your brain blanks out, it's usually because of stress. When you feel pressure, your body releases adrenaline. Your brain switches into fight or flight mode. It stops thinking about ideas and starts thinking about danger. But there's no danger, just attention. Your body confuses focus with threat. The key to regaining control is to remind your brain that you're safe. Take one slow breath. That's your reset button. Breathing deeply tells your nervous system that nothing is wrong. It slows your heart and clears your mind. Most people try to think harder when they forget, but that only makes it worse. Thinking harder is like shaking a snow globe. You can't see anything until the storm settles, so stop forcing it. Let your thoughts settle naturally. You don't have to fill silence right away. Most of the time, the pause feels much longer to you than it does to others. While you're panicking inside, your listeners are just waiting patiently. You have more time than you think. Use it to breathe, relax your shoulders, and smile gently. Smiling tricks your body into calmness. It changes your breathing and releases tension from your face. If you really can't remember your next point, it's okay to acknowledge it casually. Say something like, "Give me a second, I just lost my train of thought." People will understand. In fact, they'll like you more for it. It makes you human. It shows you're real, and often, when you take that small pause, your brain restarts naturally. Another way to recover is to circle back. Instead of trying to force your memory, return to the last thing you said. Rephrase it or expand on it. As you talk, your brain will often reconnect to the next idea. Memory is like a chain. Sometimes you just need to grab one link to find the rest. Practice also helps you recover faster. The more familiar you are with your material or your thoughts, the less likely you are to freeze completely. You don't have to memorize everything word for word, just understand your topic deep. When you know your main message, you can always find your way back. Confidence doesn't mean never forgetting. It means staying calm when you do. Most people panic because they think silence means weakness, but silence can be strength. A short pause can look like reflection, not confusion. Great speakers use pauses all the time. If you stay composed, people will think you're just taking a thoughtful moment. Another trick is to engage your audience. Ask a simple question, or make a quick comment like, "Has that ever happened to you?" Or, "You know what I mean, right?" While they nod or smile, your brain gets a few extra seconds to catch up. Interaction buys you time and keeps energy flowing. You can also use movement to reset. Take a small step, adjust your stance, or look to another part of the room. Changing your physical position helps your brain reset mentally. Your body and mind are connected. When one shifts, the other follows. It's also important not to judge yourself when you forget. Negative self-talk makes it worse. If you start thinking, "I'm messing up," or "everyone's watching," your stress spikes again. Replace those thoughts with calm reminders. "I'm okay. I'm still in control." The way you talk to yourself shapes how fast you recover. Everyone's brain needs a moment to catch up sometimes, especially when you're speaking to others, because your brain is doing multiple things, thinking, remembering, expressing, and managing emotion all at once. Forgetting is not a flaw, it's just overload. Learning to handle it gracefully is part of becoming a great communicator. When you practice staying calm, your mind learns that blank moments are safe. Over time, they stop scaring you. You begin to trust yourself again, and when you trust yourself, your words flow naturally. The more relaxed you are, the less often your brain blanks out. There's another reason people freeze. They fear judgment. They think everyone will notice and silently laugh. But here's the truth. Most people don't even realize you forgot. They're not judging you, they're following your energy. If you stay calm, they stay calm. If you panic, they feel awkward. You control how they react, not with words, but with presence. It's the same reason why confident people seem unstoppable. They're not perfect, they just recover quickly. They make small mistakes, smile and keep going. That simple act of grace earns more respect than flawless performance ever could. If you practice mindfulness outside of speaking, it helps too. Spend a few minutes each day focusing on your breath. Learn how to notice when your thoughts drift and gently bring them back. That's the same skill you use when your mind blanks. You notice, breathe, and return. You can even prepare mentally before you speak. Visualize yourself staying calm, even if something goes wrong. Imagine forgetting a line, but smiling through it. When the real moment happens, your brain already knows how to handle it. You've rehearsed confidence. One of the most beautiful things about speaking is that it's human. Humans make mistakes, but those mistakes are what make communication real. The moments you forget remind everyone that you're not performing, you're connecting. You'll notice that the more calm you are about forgetting, the less often it happens. When you stop fearing blank moments, your brain stops creating them. It's like fear feeds the problem, and peace starves it. Even professionals forget sometimes. Actors, leaders, teachers, everyone. The difference is, they know that one missed sentence doesn't erase the whole message. They know that connection matters more than perfection. So next time it happens to you, don't fight it. Don't rush to fix it. Take a breath. Smile. Reconnect with your thought or your listener. The audience isn't against you, they're with you. They want you to succeed. And when you recover smoothly, you'll notice something incredible. The moment that once scared you becomes your strongest one. Because you'll prove to yourself that even when your mind goes blank, you can still stay composed, still communicate, and still lead the room. That's real confidence, not the kind that never shakes, but the kind that steadies itself every time it does. So, remember this. When you forget what to say, don't fear the silence. Fill it with calm. Let it breathe. Then let your next words come naturally. Because the person who stays calm when their mind goes blank doesn't just speak like a genius, they think like one too. Chapter 11. The secret of speaking with impact. Not just words. Some people talk, and no one remembers what they said. Others speak just a few words, and the whole room goes silent. You've felt that before, that quiet energy when someone's words seem to reach deep inside you. It's not about fancy vocabulary or long speeches. It's about impact. Real impact doesn't come from how much you say. It comes from how deeply you connect. Speaking with impact means your words stay in people's minds long after you stop talking. It's the kind of speaking that makes people feel, think, and remember. And here's the truth. Anyone can learn it. You don't need to be famous, powerful, or perfect. You just need to understand how emotion, intention, and presence work together when you speak. Impact starts before you even open your mouth. It begins with your mindset. Ask yourself, why am I speaking? Are you speaking to impress or to express? If your goal is to sound smart, people may hear your words but not feel them. But if your goal is to make them understand or inspire them, your words carry warmth. They carry meaning. People can feel your purpose in your tone. The human brain is wired to respond to emotion. Not information. Facts tell. But feelings sell. That's why a single honest sentence can move hearts more than a long list of facts. When you speak from emotion, whether it's passion, empathy, or conviction, your listener's brain mirrors it. They feel what you feel. That's how connection begins. The secret to impact is honesty. When you speak your truth, people sense it. You don't have to exaggerate or perform, you just have to mean every word. The voice of honesty is powerful because it cuts through noise. In a world full of empty talk, truth sounds like music. To speak with impact, you also need presence. Presence means giving your full attention to the moment and the people in front of you. Don't think about how you look or how you sound. Focus completely on what you're saying and who you're saying it to. When your attention is pure, your energy becomes magnetic. People can sense that you're real. Great communicators slow down. They don't rush through their message. They give every important word space to breathe. Silence between sentences isn't emptiness, it's emphasis. It's what allows meaning to land. The more comfortable you are with silence, the stronger your presence feels. People don't remember every word, but they remember how you made them feel during the pause. Impactful speakers use stories. Stories are how humans understand the world. A story paints pictures in the mind. It takes abstract ideas and turns them into experiences. You could tell someone, "Don't give up," or you could tell a short story about a time you failed but kept trying. The story will always stay longer. Stories make lessons real. Emotion also needs control. Too much emotion can blur your message. Too little can make you sound cold. Balance is everything. When you care about what you're saying but still stay calm, people trust you. They believe that your message is coming from strength, not chaos. Another secret is simplicity. Impactful speech is clear, not complicated. The smartest people often speak in the simplest words, because clarity is respect. When you make your message easy to understand, you're not dumbing it down, you're making it reachable. People don't admire complexity, they connect to clarity. Your tone is just as important as your words. A kind tone can turn criticism into guidance. A confident tone can make simple words sound wise. A gentle tone can comfort, while an energetic one can motivate. Impact lives inside tone. You can say the same sentence two ways. One may be forgotten, the other remembered forever. You also create impact through empathy. Empathy means you don't just talk at people, you talk with them. You sense where they are emotionally and meet them there. If they're hurting, you speak softly. If they're excited, you speak with energy. If they're lost, you speak with clarity. The best speakers make people feel seen. When you want your words to hit deeply, slow your pace and lower your tone slightly. The brain connects deep tones with authority and truth. That's why calm voices often feel stronger than loud ones. Volume can grab attention, but calm conviction holds it. Another part of impact is intention. Every time you speak, know what you want the listener to take away. Do you want them to feel hope? Do you want them to think differently? Do you want them to act? When your intention is clear, your words naturally aim toward it. Without intention, speech is just noise. With intention, speech becomes direction. Impact also depends on authenticity. Don't copy someone else's speaking style. Don't try to sound like your favorite leader or teacher. Be you, but the best version of you. Speak in your natural rhythm, your own voice. Authenticity builds trust faster than perfection. People don't want perfect speakers, they want real ones. When you speak with genuine emotion, you don't need to push people. They lean in naturally. You've probably seen this before. Someone stands on stage, barely raising their voice, but the entire audience listens silently. That's not power. That's presence. That's connection. It comes from speaking straight from the heart. To create impact, you must also listen deeply. The best speakers listen while they speak. They watch reactions, adjust tone, and shift energy based on the listener's response. They treat communication as a living exchange, not a performance. That's what keeps their words alive. Impactful speaking is not about perfection. It's about feeling. If your words come from real understanding, people forgive small mistakes. They won't remember your grammar. They'll remember your emotion. The heart remembers what the mind forgets. You can also use rhythm and contrast to make your words stand out. Short sentences create power. Long ones create flow. Together they build emotion. The shift in rhythm keeps people's attention. It's like music. The pauses, the beats, the soft and strong moments. Speaking with impact is not just about what you say, it's about how it feels to hear it. Another key to impact is belief. You have to believe your message before anyone else will. If your words don't move you, they won't move others. Before you speak, ask yourself, do I feel this? Because people don't follow logic alone, they follow conviction. You can also add impact by using vivid language. Instead of saying, "It was good," say, "It felt like sunlight after rain." The brain loves images. Visual words make thoughts come alive. They turn sentences into sensations. To make lasting impact, always end with meaning. Don't just stop talking. Leave people with something to carry. It could be a thought, a question, a feeling, or an image. The end of your message is what echoes in their mind after you're gone. But perhaps the most important secret of all is humility. People are drawn to those who speak with passion and confidence, but stay humble. When you speak with kindness and authenticity, your words travel farther because they carry respect. Arrogance may impress minds, but humility touches hearts. Every time you speak, remember this: your voice has power. You can use it to lift, to teach, to heal, or to inspire. Speaking with impact isn't about sounding great, it's about leaving others a little better than they were before you spoke. So, slow down, feel your words, mean what you say, speak less, but say more. That's how you create impact that lasts beyond the sound of your voice. That's how you speak like a genius, not because of perfect speech, but because your words touch the heart, not just the ear. Chapter 12. Becoming the person who speaks and thinks with ease. At the end of every journey comes a quiet truth. It was never really about the words. It was about the person you became while learning to speak them. Speaking like a genius isn't about having perfect grammar or using big words. It's about having peace inside you, the kind that makes your thoughts flow easily and your voice sound calm and confident. You see, people who speak easily aren't born that way. They trained their minds to stay steady when others rush. They learned to think with clarity and speak with intention. They learned to care more about connection than perfection. That's what makes them special. Not talent, but awareness. Becoming that kind of person starts from within. Before you speak to others, you have to learn to speak kindly to yourself. If your inner voice is harsh, you'll always sound unsure on the outside. But when your inner voice is calm and kind, your words carry quiet power. Your tone changes, your confidence grows, and people feel your balance. Most people struggle to speak clearly because they're fighting themselves. They overthink, doubt, or judge their every word. Their mind is too busy trying to sound right instead of being real. But when you let go of that pressure, something shifts. You stop performing and start communicating. You stop trying to impress and you begin to express. That's when speaking becomes easy. Thinking fast doesn't mean rushing. It means having a calm mind that sees clearly even when things move quickly. The brain can think faster when it's relaxed. That's why silence, breathing, and mindfulness matter so much. Every pause you take is a space for your thoughts to organize themselves. When you give your mind room, it gives you clarity in return. Confidence isn't loud, it's quiet and steady. You don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to mean what you say. The more honest you are, the more people will feel your message. When your thoughts and your words match, your presence becomes powerful. People can sense alignment. They can feel when someone truly believes what they're saying. Speaking with ease is also about letting go of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of mistakes, fear of silence. All of these fears come from trying to control what others think of you. But you can't control that. You can only control your intention. If your intention is pure to connect, to help, to share, then you've already succeeded before you even speak. You'll notice that the more comfortable you become with yourself, the easier communication feels. You won't need to rehearse every word. You won't freeze when someone interrupts. You'll just flow, because your thoughts and emotions will be working together, not against each other. There's a deep peace that comes when you stop trying to prove yourself. When you realize that your worth doesn't depend on how perfectly you speak, but on how sincerely you do. That peace is what makes your voice sound confident. You don't need to convince anyone. Your calm energy does it for you. Sometimes people will misunderstand you. Sometimes you'll say something and wish you had said it better. That's normal. It happens to everyone. The goal isn't to avoid mistakes. It's to move through them gracefully. When you accept imperfection, your mind stays open. You learn faster, speak clearer, and recover stronger. If you want to think and speak with ease, you have to slow down the world inside your head. You can't control everything outside, but you can control your focus. Listen deeply, breathe slowly, and trust that your thoughts will come when you need them. They always do. Genius in communication isn't about speed, it's about clarity. The people who seem to think fast are actually the ones who stay calm under pressure. They don't let emotion block logic. They give themselves a second to think. That 1 second is what makes all the difference. You also have to care. Care about the people you're talking to. Care about what you're saying. Care about how your words make others feel. When you speak with genuine care, your tone softens, your words slow down, and your message becomes warmer. Care turns information into connection. When you look at the greatest communicators in history, you'll notice something simple. They speak from the heart. They don't try to sound perfect. They just tell the truth in a way people can feel. That's the real genius of speaking. Not complexity, not polish, but honesty delivered with empathy. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. You'll start noticing your breathing when you talk. You'll start catching your emotions before they take over. You'll start choosing calm instead of panic. One day you'll be in a difficult conversation and realize you're not afraid anymore. You're steady. You're clear. That's when you'll know you've changed. To become someone who speaks and thinks with ease, build small daily habits. Read, observe, reflect, and most importantly, listen. Every conversation is a classroom. Every silence is a lesson. You don't have to learn it all at once. Growth happens quietly, one talk at a time. You'll also find that the more you focus on learning, the less you worry about performing. Education builds confidence. The more knowledge you gain, the more naturally your thoughts will flow. You won't have to force your words. They'll come from understanding, not memorization. Remember, your goal is not to sound like someone else. It's to sound like you, your truest, calmest, most thoughtful self. Because when you speak from that place, people don't just hear your words, they feel your presence. True communication is never about proving intelligence. It's about sharing truth. The genius in speaking is not in sounding perfect, but in making complex things feel simple and simple things feel meaningful. When you can do that, you've mastered not just words but connection. So, as you finish this audiobook, take a deep breath. Remember how far you've come. You've learned to slow down, to listen deeply, to stay calm, to think clearly, to speak with empathy, and to express from your heart. These are not just speaking skills, they're life skills. Because in the end, the way you speak is the way you live. Calm, confident, clear, and kind. That's what speaking like a genius truly means. It's not about sounding smarter, It's about being present, being real, and being true. Every conversation from now on is your practice ground. Every silence is a chance to grow. Every word you choose can make someone's day lighter. Speak with care, speak with peace, speak like the person you've become. And remember this, genius is not a gift you're born with. It's a skill you build through awareness, patience, and purpose. You've already started that journey. Now go share your voice with the world, calmly, confidently, and with heart.